Sorry. They want me to do all these so they can put them up on YouTube or something. Anyway, so those are kind of the two thoughts I have, which is the tax abatement that initially was approved, which at present is not transferable. We'd have to get the council to be able to transfer it to each condo owner. Or again, could we revisit this and say, you can get a tax abatement based upon the level of investment that you are personally making? So it's kind of one of these things, we've not dealt with it at all. My initial thought was, or can we add language? But it sounds like from the town attorney, there's no ability to add language within our tax abatement policy to make it a blanket, any industrial condo, let's say. So right now, it's more of a discussion sake. And again, the investment is large. I mean, not having any tax abatements to me is kind of weird because that we have them to incentivize the development. So I'm kind of just putting it out there more for discussion's sake. Also, any questions to John? I don't see us acting on anything tonight, and I'm not in a rush to run to town council, but I want to have a plan when I do go to council.
Okay, what's the total? Go ahead.
Sure.
What'd you do behind my building? Or what did they do this time?
I do not know. I need to look that up. The sheets are here. Ed, his application itself is here, which gives the numbers. It's about $14.8 million
Total
total.
for all the buildings.
Yeah, 14.8 million. Yes. I didn't attach it here, but the last one you gave us a breakdown on.
Put it in a different category.
Yeah, that's what gets it. Over 12 and a half gives you the 10-year tax abatement,
Okay.
which we gave them.
And if it's separate buildings, it drops and it's a different formula.
Yeah. Basically, if you're below $1 million, you would get 3 years, 50, 40, 30 tax abatement.
Okay,
Again, I mean, if somebody buys more than $1 million, they'd get what it is at that point.
yeah,
But the thought is that probably, again, could somebody buy a whole building? Sure. But we're probably looking at 2 or 3 units is my guess.
yeah. Either way, they're getting a tax break,
Yeah.
but you could see if they want to accomplish that goal of creating that larger percentage. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah, again, and this, I'm not looking for an answer tonight. It's more of just something to kind of kick around because it's not something we've dealt with before. I think in all fairness, a tax abatement should be attached to this for the person that buys it. Because they are making an investment. It is going to be the priciest industrial buildings in town just because of the cost of construction at this point. But again, I mean, it's something where we're going to be offering, our community is going to be offering something that nobody else can offer on a parcel that, it's done nothing but hay for 40 years. So
But basically, you're looking to keep that same length of time overall on each one, right?
potentially, yes. But the question then becomes, okay, does that, again, I don't know what does or doesn't make sense. I mean, that was what was approved.
Same based on the overall.
Yeah.
Investment.
So what's the cost will be, June, 400?
300 to 400, John, is that kind of what you're thinking probably, or somewhere thereabouts?
Correct.
Yeah, 300 to 400,000 be about what it is for about a 2,000 square foot unit, so.
4,000?
Yeah, about 2,000 square foot unit, about 300 to $400,000 is the guess what the asking price is gonna be.
400.
So we had a lot of discussions about this last time.
We did.
We talked about, okay, because it's such a big project, and there's, I think,
54 units,
54 units, and how many different buildings?
9.
9. So we said, okay, we approve a 10-year, 10 mil, was it, what was the schedule?
Well, 12.5 million was, yeah,
Then they built half the units and then there's no demand, so, everyone's got that $12.5 million abatement. But
Mhm.
we're not getting the project because for some reason the economy goes down.
Yep.
Who knows why we don't finish them? And so that was one of the concerns. So Chris went out and did a little due diligence and research. I think it's,
They say you want debatements when it starts.
yeah, right. And then, how long does that take? And that's it, because it's sort of a white elephant that we haven't dealt with before and it's unusual, we sort of have to try to figure it out. And corporate counsel says, well, we can't transfer. The state law doesn't allow the current owner to transfer it to somebody else, right?
Yeah, let me do
And-
this.
and
Let me
maybe-
let me actually pull up the language here. So I want to figure out exactly what.
Well, there's gotta be some tax abatements given to the projects, you know.
Yep.
And maybe it's the individual unit that someone buys.
Yep.
They're gonna get, you know, not a 12.5 million schedule, they'll get a lesser schedule, but it will be to them because they're the owners and the abatement will apply to them. And that's a marketing tool for the, you know, the
Yep.
current
Correct.
developer
Yep.
to sell. And we have to be careful because we don't want to make this thing a monster at town hall.
No.
A disaster.
Well, and that's-
Paperwork nightmare. We have to make it easy for our employees to sort
Yep.
of.
Well, that was
do this.
the reason I wanted to meet with Joe, because it is such a different animal, and I wanted to make sure Joe and John are on the same page, which they are. So here's basically what typically the 12-65 agreements are not subject to assignment, transfer, or sale without the approval of town council. So the assignment to the buyer of the condo would have to be expressly consented to in the tax agreement. And the assignee would then have to accept the obligations placed upon it under the agreement as well. So again, if the council said, yes, you can do that, then we can go forward and do it. It's a question then on what do we think makes the most sense if we're going to make a recommendation to them at
And
this
what you
point.
just read was that each condo unit would have their own abatement.
Yes.
Right, okay.
Yep. Yeah,
Whether it's
because
on the
again, I mean-
size or on the overall project.
Yeah, because nobody's going to buy 54. I mean, they could, but I mean, someone is going to likely buy. I mean, I don't see at the price point we're talking about here, these being an investment play. I don't, I mean, could it happen? Yes. I think it's very unlikely because the number you'd need to get on a rent, you're not going to get in Berlin.
So the developer would not get an abatement. The buyer of that condo gets the abatement.
That would be the intent of what I saw making the most sense, and in my mind, what makes sense overall, because you want to incentivize them coming to town because they do have choices. Yes, normally the incentive goes to the developer because he's going to build it and hold it. He's not.
Which is what happened with Earl at Stick Village,
Yep, he got the abatements, and again,
And he held them,
and he held them.
but
Yep.
it'd be like an empty abatement if they did it and then sold all the.
Yeah,
There'd
they're-
be nothing.
no,
Right.
you'd have a great abatement and it's there, and then as soon as it's transferred and somebody buys the condos, it's gone.
But we can't do what you are thinking about yet because it doesn't allow us to. The
Well-
tax abatement
Well-
rules that we have don't allow that specific, this specific.
The town council would have to essentially approve what we were recommending to them. And if they said yes, then we can do that, either have a transferable one or, again, hypothetically step down. But that would have to be a town council approval before that can happen.
Transferable, meaning
You'd take the full 10 years and it would go to every single condo owner.
if the project's completed,
Yes.
or the other option is each condo owner gets their own abatement. Those are the two options you're thinking of.
And can I chime in? Because we're not necessarily opposed to that at all. That's not necessarily a bad approach, because I think you hit it on the head. It's a great marketing tool. And we don't, the way we look at it, 10 years doesn't do anything for us. Our goal is to sell these things within 2 to worst case 3 years. And in the perfect world, that's going to happen. In the not perfect world, nobody knows. But ultimately, everybody has a high expectation with the limited supply that's out there, from our commercial real estate experts to Chris to the bank. The bank is willing to put up a lot of money for this, which they don't do if they don't see it a viable option. So we expect to sell the first. Once the first 2 buildings are done, I expect it to go very quickly. So if we're able to sell even within 3 years, say it's 36 months, at that point, the balance of the 7 years is worthless to us because we won't own any of the buildings. They'll all be sold. So it really isn't a 10-year tax abatement. And if that's something, that's why the transferability was important to understand what that could be. And we're open to, what how do I say this? You know, it's not an all or nothing scenario. You know, if there's something that makes sense in between, especially something that the town really hasn't done before, or based on Chris's commentary, I don't know the last 50 years what Berlin has or hasn't done in these types of scenarios, but it's one that, you know, for us to get it, we will get limited benefit. There's no real incentive financially for us from an abatement standpoint, because we will not own the property enough. We'll get, you know, some benefit for the first 2 years based on what kicks in on 10-1. And at that point, by the third year, we won't get any benefit. It'll either be gone or transferred to the unit owners, which is fine by us.
Yeah,
But basically, the best thing would be the abatement based on their investment into the unit.
Yeah.
That would be the most fair way across the board.
It would be attractive for the buyers. Incentivize the buyers.
Yeah.
I don't think we should go with the tax abatement. I think if someone was buying a unit, a whole unit or half a unit and got the 50-40-30, the whole idea is to get the businesses going,
Right.
okay? If you're starting, we attempt to play with these numbers, then we're fudging things.
Right, but you don't want to give, because it's a 10-year abatement, so you don't want somebody who buys a $400,000 condo to get 10-year abatement.
Exactly.
He gets it based on $400,000 and how it goes.
well,
Yeah, it's still
That's-
gonna
I
be
mean,
attractive.
That's the most.
yeah, no, I mean, and you're right. I mean, the attractive piece, again, is coming in. And I think, again, when you're looking at brand new construction, there's going to be a pretty hefty number assessed on each one, without a doubt. So those first 3 years are going to be a huge thing, especially if you have, for instance, somebody who's going from leasing space in the, excuse my language, but the tail end of a building in New Britain, and they want to buy a condo. They're now owning for the first time, and yeah, the 3 years would make a huge difference for them as they're growing.
So here's something, okay? He puts up 3 units, they sell right away, and they go into the tax abatement, at 50-40-30. Then he puts 2 more buildings up, but he only does 7/8 of the building. He doesn't get a CO yet. And because he's doing that, they're not being taxed yet, correct?
Correct.
Okay, if he does that and then gets the buyer and finishes the final 1/8, rest of the plumbing or something, then the tax abatement kicks in.
50, 40, 30.
Yeah, but that's exactly what Joe said in terms of, you know, 10-1 is the magic date. If the CO is done before that, then you fall in and you got to pay the tax, and the abatement starts at that point. If you're 50% done with the building, then they're going to assess what physically is done, and they'll make an estimate, and then you'll pay the full tax with no abatement for that interim period. So if it takes you 6 months to build it, you know, it's key to get it done before 10-1. So you get it in, you get the CO, and now the abatement would start based on what we agreed upon. If you don't, so that's where we would be paying the higher tax.
Yep.
Because
So-
everything before the CO is going to be at the normal non-abated tax, which, you know what, if I can get the abatement for them for 54 units, whatever we can, that's going to help me more than, you know, a 70% abatement on something I'm not going to own for very much. It might be for 2 years. So we might pay an extra $50,000 for 2 years for taxes, but I'll make that up significantly more by being able to sell all these units in a much shorter period of time.
Yep. Okay. So I just found something from 2005. It looks like we did 50, 40, 30 for the actual buyers of each of the units that are at 604 Rod, which is behind Pete's building. So I am going to do a little digging on this, because if we have historical precedent,
There you go.
then to me, we're just saying we want to do the same thing here.
Right.
So until it has a CO, it's not taxable?
No. It's
No,
not
it is
eligible.
taxable.
It's not eligible for the tax abatement.
Correct.
Oh.
Yeah, we're paying the current rate at that point until that's why it's a catch-22. Until the CO is done. When the CO is done, the units are gonna be sold. So we don't get a benefit. We're just gonna pay, for the first year, we're gonna pay whatever they assess us for at full Berlin rates. And the abatement doesn't kick in until the CO, but once the CO kicks in, we won't own the unit, so we won't get any abatement. So we're kind of, that's the challenge we're running into. I'm not getting, as the developer, I'm not really getting much or any of this benefit.
Your benefit comes in marketing the property.
Correct. And that's what I'm
It's
saying.
actually probably more valuable than a 10-year abatement they only use for 2 years.
Absolutely.
Correct. I concur with you. That's pretty much what I just said. I concur with you 100%.
Alrighty.
Okay.
Chris, has Mahoney looked at this?
No, I have not had a chance to connect with Mahoney. I mean, I'm looking at the agreement right now, so I'm going to talk to Mahoney on how he did this, because
We have, put it on the agenda for next meeting.
Yep.
And have Jim double check all this stuff for us. Just to review it, and then we'll talk about it next. meeting.
Absolutely.
But see what he's got.
Perfect. John, let me do this, John. I'm gonna do some digging, see what I can find out about what happened in 2005. I'm happy to see that this did happen, because it looks like, from what I'm looking at, again, I'm just looking at a spreadsheet, that it looks like each of the property owners itself on these condos just up the road were given 3-year tax abatement.
But see,
So-
yeah, Mahoney's been around. for
Yeah,
a
absolutely.
while.
So let me follow up on that, and then what we'll do is, once we have our arms around it, I'll let you know, and we'll bring it back to the commission, and then what I'm hoping we can, at the December meeting, if all goes well, I'm thinking, unless I'm totally reading the room wrong, we recommend a 3-year tax abatement, or whatever the abatement is for the level investment on each condo.
Right.
Which is basically the selling price.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Okay, no, thank you, John. I appreciate it. Have a good night, and I appreciate you coming on with us.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Alrighty, so, see here. So next is, if you go to the.
That's much cleaner
Yeah.
than that other design.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. So midway through, we have something which is a requested modification to the tax abatement agreement with, BT 2008, which again is the same project we just talked about with the hotel. So, the red stuff here is what is going to be added. Really what we're looking at is this. So at present, the way things have been done is the tax abatement is on the new construction and the buildings. Okay. The request here is to also have the tax abatement on the land itself. Because the land itself, you started out, it was worth $200,000. Now it's worth $6 million, let's say. So-
Who wrote this?
This was put together between, I believe, BT 2008 and our town attorney, and their attorney, I believe.
And who's BT 2008?
That's basically Diadio and the family doing the
All right,
development.
so this is the Addy.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And so Diadio wants to change our tax abatement, modify our tax abatement agreement.
Just the agreement with his project itself is what we're talking about.
And how do you come up with this idea?
I believe it came, actually, do you want, why don't you explain? That makes more sense, yes.
When we were first discussing, you guys thought you had zoned this project for a long time. And the idea when we were first looking into this tax abatement is to look at it as original intent, which included the base assessment of the land being at 200,000. Or approximately whatever that value of the land was at that time. However, from the assessor's latest base assessment on the property, which we just received relatively recently, his base assessment on the land includes the land improvements, which significantly increases the tax associated with the land and doesn't give us the full intent of the tax abatement that we originally had intended for or planned for when we first came to this agreement. So this language is to help make it more clarify the original purpose and original intent of what we originally planned for versus what's causing some confusion with the tax assessor now. He's reading the tax abatement plan that we have.
So as I think about this for a minute, if we modify our tax abatement plan to allow for the increase in land value, how many applications do we have to go back and revisit?
It's a can of worms.
You know,
Give me 30 seconds. I can tell you, oh, actually, that's the older sheet. I gotta go back to the newer sheet.
What year did you start the project?
Well, the name of the company is called ET 2008, and 2008 is the year when it was acquired. And so, it's gone through a lot of different iterations over the years on what was actually gonna be planned there. But we didn't actually really start breaking ground, probably maybe about 5 years ago, so 2020, 2021.
and it's not only projects that have come to us already, it's the
Oh.
future ones. They're all gonna want the same thing, and I don't blame them. If we give it to Steve,
Right.
you know, then we gotta,
Give me 30 seconds. I'm just trying to pull up the sheet here.
we've
the
never
list.
had this request yet.
Yeah.
No.
So you're talking about the land itself?
Yeah, I think when we were
The land
first, when we were first writing this tax abatement plan agreement, that you guys have helped us with. Our interpretation of the abatement of the base assessment was what the land was valued at that time. However, now that we've improved the land because of the buildings that were building there, the town, assessor is putting our base assessment with those improvements that we were put in there. So the actual abatement that we're getting is about half of what we initially expected when we first were going through this initial agreement and conversation. And so that abatement that we anticipated is what the same abatement we had gone to our planning committee and how we got our loan approval and all that. However, where we are today, with the abatement being half of what we had initially anticipated, that is it's actually quite detrimental to us. It puts actually us at default with our loan because of what our initial intent one is actually what's not actually occurring today.
So Steve, originally when we approved this abatement, right, you guys were happy. Okay, right? You guys didn't come back to us and say, hey, man, we're gonna improve this low land by adding a bunch of dirt, compacting it. You didn't say anything, you got your abatement and you were happy. But now things with the assessor are changing and now you're not happy.
That's correct. I think
All right, because you didn't come back to us and say, hey, man, we're gonna improve this land. We want this abatement to cover the improvements in the land. When we originally looked at this, this is sort of an afterthought. Let's just talk about it, right? This is an afterthought.
But we're still talking the same percentages. Okay, correct?
Yeah. oh,
You-
yeah,
you got the
Same
highest-
schedule.
Same
Applies.
schedule and you got the highest percentage that we offer as a town. Okay, but you want to change the gross amount.
Yeah, I think,
Much.
like, I think where it was is the how the plan was written and how it's being interpreted now is not what we had originally had thought. And so now that, like I mentioned earlier, now that we're seeing this assessment coming from the town assessor, with our base assessment is significantly something higher than we had ever originally intended, or we expected, I would say.
So let
So,
me ask you a question, Steve. If you sold the property now, it's worth a lot more, right?
yes, that's.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you had a low assessment for the land, you improved the land. And that created much more value for your property overall, right?
I was,
But I'm trying to play a little devil's advocate too, you know, you can't, sometimes you can't have it both ways, you know what I mean?
Sure. Mhm.
Because if you sold it, which you probably are gonna, right?
our plan is to hold this
The
property.
whole-
Well, if you look at it, that it's through the years, it went up in value. Well, if you want the abatement, well, shouldn't you owe that improvement in the taxes?
The buildings, the improvements of the buildings is what's driving
Yeah,
the
yeah.
value of the land. Without the buildings and all the things we've done to get those
Mhm.
buildings up,
Okay.
there will be no improvements of the value of the land.
But that's what happens with every one of our abatements. The land is worth this, and they put a building on it, and now it's worth a lot more. It's the same thing. we've gotta be careful because we have other people that have applications and that could come right in next week, and, hey, man, you gave Diadio this. You changed, you modified this, now we want it. And then all the new people that are coming in,
But if the building is worth more money, then we could assess it for more money. And then your taxes go up in that extent, even though you're getting the percentage off.
That's correct. When the abatement ends, the whole value of the building. So at the end of the abatement, the town's, tax revenue would end up being basically the same at the work that would be.
Yep, I just, if you look on the screen here quick, and actually, no, let's do this, so I just quickly went through here and I went under the assumption that the year it's approved, hypothetically, the next year is when the first tax bill comes out. So these are the years that it looks like each of the tax abatements from 2020 on continue to. So low side 2025, 2031, 31, 25, 29, 29, 29, 29, 29, 26, 25, 25, 25, 28, 20, 30, 28, 26, 26, 26, 28, 34, 34, 30, 28, 32, 28. So right now there are a number of them that go quite a bit beyond where we are. Again, the majority of them being the larger investments like the industrial surplus, Tony and Mark, John Orsini, and the development at 404 Berlin Turnpike.
let's, I don't think we can decide this tonight. I think we're gonna put it on the agenda for next time. And I'd like Mahoney to weigh in on this. The problem is, okay, let's look at it from a taxpayer. Okay, taxpayer says, hey, you gave Diadio a tax abatement schedule for his new building, right? Okay, yeah, we see why you do it, because you're trying to attract developers. Now you're giving them a break on the land too, that you've never done before. I could just see like. It might.
Yeah, in here you said that, some towns have modified. Do you have an example of other towns that did modify the tax abate?
I don't personally.
I just what it's saying here that I was just on one other
But I can
town.
check with my team and see if they have some information to share.
If you could before our next meeting.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, I think so. I think we should table this till next time, Chris.
Mm.
Let's Ashton Mahoney just take a peek at this.
We'll have him look at both of them.
You guys can look at this and it's just that. It's not black and white, it's something
I think it's
new
open
and
up
we might be
Pandora's box.
careful.
Yeah, I
We'll
think,
keep
again,
reviewing.
Like I mentioned before, I guess our interpretation is, was, maybe not clarified, I guess. And so, again, when we see the improvements of the buildings, and I guess the way it's being read versus what we thought the original plan was, is coming out differently, which is why we're coming back to, look for get more clarification. But I appreciate you guys
Okay.
taking the time to look into this for us. Appreciate it very much.
Okay, good.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, where are we now, Chris? Here?
We are zooming our way down.
We're on five?
Yep, on 5, language addition to other properties. We're not going to touch that because that needs to
Yep.
work its way through. 303 New Britain Road, Connecticut Sand and Stone. We have a pre-application meeting, I believe, on the 20th. It is a different group looking to do essentially this, almost the same thing Clean Earth is going to do. The hope is by the first of the year, they own the property because well, a couple of things. One, they need the town approval to make an industrial subdivision to go forward with the state reuse program, which allows them to bring in the industrially clean dirt.
Okay.
So that's where they are. They've already gotten into the brownfield remediation and revitalization program, which the town got into on 889, so that's a good sign. 1162 Berlin Turnpike, Shaler Subaru, which was going to be the new car display lot. Art now officially owns the land. We're going to have a pre-application meeting just to see if there's anything that looks like it's out of place. But I think that should be pretty straightforward. with the planning department. John Sinise, who
Gonna
again,
look good.
yeah.
You know, we had them when we were talking about big, nice signs and.
Yeah,
fencing.
that's, I mean, yeah, and that, we gotta see where things are, I think
He had other
definitely.
thoughts.
Yeah, signage, I think, makes a lot of sense. So, John Sinise, who again also owns the industrial surplus property, he purchased the farm there, 140 some acres on Kensington Road. It has Pito, yes. He
80
bought,
acres.
yeah, what, 80 acres. So he bought Pito, so we're gonna have a conversation. I don't know kind of where he's headed with this, but it is something that has been, I mean, they've been talking about this since I started, and it'll be 11 years
Mm.
in January, so it's been a while.
Any inkling where he's going?
I think right now, the two things he mentioned to me were, this makes me laugh, excuse me, but workforce housing to buy and maybe over 55. And I think workforce housing to buy would be like 450 to 550. So not building 800,000 square foot McMansions because it just doesn't fit Berlin.
This is
So
sort of important. So workforce housing.
yeah, basically workforce to buy. So essentially for young families to buy coming to Berlin or in Berlin going up from an apartment to a house.
Single family home.
Yeah, single family home.
All right,
Yep,
so
single,
that's option one, single family workforce housing. What's the other option?
yeah, maybe an over 50, part of it over 55, the over 55 ownership.
Where is it?
Pito Farm on Kensington Road,
So over 55.
over 55.
But standalone units?
Yeah, standalone units. Yeah, so pretty
For the
much.
whole thing or just part of it?
Well, that's what I think we need, that, I don't think he's 100% certain what he wants to do, but also I don't know what the zone allows. And that's gonna be part of the discussion, which is what is his ideas, what's his plans, what is allowed versus does he need to come in with text amendments? If he does, then we'll have another
Is there
discussion.
water sewer?
I believe there is, yeah, because it's got a couple different connections. I think one of them is,
Carriage Drive, there's a.
Yeah.
There's an exit on Carriage.
yeah, there's an
Drive.
exit on Carriage, and I think it borders the road. I'm losing the name of the road right now.
Kramer.
Yeah.
Up top of the hill.
Yeah, there was the top of the hill, and then there's the one that goes parallel.
Well, Norton.
Yeah, Norton. Yep.
Go up to Norton and it's on Kensington.
Yep.
It comes out, you can get out on Carriage.
Mhm.
And it goes all the way to the top of the hill and backs up to Kramer Drive and what's the other one? Ellsworth Boulevard. My personal school,
Okay.
baseball field, if you go in those little dead end roads over
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
Yeah,
if you keep driving the woods, it's Peto's property.
Oh, yeah, I never realized that.
That's your, yeah, Peto comes right up to your old house.
That's my.
That's
property.
Peto's.
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah,
And also the new, because I'm Kensington Road, so. I'm on Kensington Road right now.
right.
Mhm.
But you're way down now.
Yeah.
You're not near that. That's an important piece, what he's doing
Yeah.
there to sell.
Alrighty,
Either one, the
so we're
workforce
going
or
to
the-
try to
the
do,
big guy
okay,
that
so
comes-
lower, so we gotta go
Goes there.
way up this way. Norton, that's the school, Forrod,
We have nothing
Forrod.
over 55.
Okay. Now that's.
This, I was gonna say, look at all this open land, that's gotta be that right there.
Okay.
So, yep, 135 acres.
Yeah, your Mountain View's right at the top, your place is right over there.
Yep.
You're right up there.
Yep,
man.
yeah, so it looks like, it looks like,
Hellwood and,
Yep, let's do here, let's look at, let's get this out of the way.
So all of this would be.
a development.
Okay, sanitary sewer, stormwater, water system.
I didn't realize it was
That tells you,
big.
that tells you where basically everything is.
It's a
Yeah.
green- Does it say, Chris? Huh?
Yeah, 135.
Wow, 135.
Yeah, so it has utilities here, it has utilities here, and then it has utilities here.
That's your old road, Maggie, right there.
Yep. So yeah, it looks like it has utilities on a couple different spots here, so.
So he-
Again.
He's coming in to talk to you
Planning and zoning. I'm gonna be there with him.
here, not P and Z commission yet.
No, just staff.
Okay, good.
Because I think he wants to determine, well, one, he wants to present what his ideas are. Two, sit down with them and be able to say, okay, what do the regs currently say? Because this is, let's see here, currently this is a what? Let's get rid of all these layers. Bing, bing, bing.
You know, 43.
This is like building a town. This is
How many units is he talking?
I do not know because I think that's gonna tell a lot about what R43 goes right over to there then. Yep, it's interesting because the edge of the open space is right there that our friend Mr. Mahoney put together, so. Interesting. Yeah, it is. It's definitely a big piece, so. Again, and really, it's more just FYI for you guys, because really residential is not our thing, but it is a big piece and you guys have known about it for a while, so I just want to kind of keep you in the loop.
Okay.
I mean, again, my own opinion is I think if we don't get some over 55 soon, we're gonna see people leaving Berlin because there is no other choice.
Well,
And
you know, it's a two-way thing that people they'll be selling their housing. So now you have the other housing opening up, so
Right.
you're
Yep.
getting the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, and
Moving,
I think.
people are waiting for those houses.
I think
Right.
putting some pressure on the one over 55 development was probably not a bad idea either, because my understanding is the prices just keep going up and up and up and up and up. You're not gonna sell your house at 450 to buy something half the size at 550. You're just not going to.
I tell you, even, I just had my daughter's house renovated, the cost was unbelievable.
Yep. Alrighty, so that's that. So CMDA, which is a gentleman who came and talked to us by Zoom last time at the December 9th town council meeting. Essentially, I'm just gonna do something which will involve a memo of understanding that the town would like to have a discussion with David. Now, David again has, I think it's 60 or $80 million in state funding to help projects near train stations. So essentially, the MOU means let's talk. They're gonna come back to us and say, here's some recommendations that'll come to probably us and P and Z. If we like the recommendations and say, yes, we're willing to do those, we can be part of the program and tap into the money. If not, we say thank you and we part ways friends, basically.
This is the guy that pitched us on the screen.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. And the next night he was at the town council meeting and was quite interesting because it was the most interesting town council meeting I've been to in 11 years. There was apparently somebody took a video and did some shenanigans with it, and there was a whole thing with freedom of speech and who can use what buildings, and it was just big.
It's about this guy talking.
No, he was just there to see it all, which was,
And so you are ready to enter an MOU with him.
yeah, Town of Berlin, essentially, Ryan will sign the MOU on behalf of town council that we are willing to go forward and have a discussion to find out what their recommendations are for the town of Berlin to be able to become part of the program.
The town council's already bought into this.
They had a presentation. I don't know if they bought into it or not. I'm going to talk to Mark first before I take anything to the council. But I mean, it's really something where if we don't like what they tell us, we can just say, thank you very much. And that it doesn't tie us into anything except a conversation from here. I mean, I look at this and I think the personal opinion, the most important thing of anything is the monies that he might be able to bring to bear for infrastructure as well as for investigation of the 20 odd acres known as Berlin Steel. Because we'd love to see a development there, but I also know I drop a potato chip, I'm probably not going to eat it. And then the other piece is, and this is kind of my own thing, I would love to take, I was just telling Pete, I'd like to take the rail bed that starts at the driveway of Berlin Steel all the way to Old Brickyard. I'd like to turn it into a rail trail. I think it would provide one, access to the 80 or 100 houses there when you get off the highway to go there. Secondly, cutting edge can make a sidewalk there. And I think it makes it much more attractive as well. If you're gonna develop Berlin Steel, developing next to a rail trail is a lot more appetizing to a bank than is to a dead rail bed.
Right,
Has that been tested at all?
No, because Conrail would not let us do that. We've had some discussions. We actually, ironically enough, we had a grant to buy it and do that. And then when the Boulevard came out, well, I think a grant was for 500,000. It was gonna cost us 1.1 million. I've never used the word reprogram so many times in my life because we didn't get the money to pay for the Boulevard. So I'm happy to go back to them and I mean, because again, if I was to say, how do you do it? Go to DECD to get the money to rip it up, remediate it. Deep gives us money to make it a rail trail. And I think it does a lot for the area and it automatically makes it more appetizing for whatever's coming in the future.
all right, so you're gonna talk to Mark.
Yep.
and then you'll let us know.
Yep.
at our next meeting.
Yep, yeah, we're gonna meet again between now and then, so. POCD, Eddie, you are up, my friend.
Okay, had Chris supply you with the present PLCD. Now, there's 10 pages here, referring to our commission. Okay? Starting on page 44 on, okay? So we want to just quickly go through it, and then you guys can read it after, and the next meeting, we could talk more about it. Gives you graphs, okay? Employment status, you know, who is some of our larger taxpayers. You know, talking about the Northeast Utilities, or I'm sorry, Eversource now. As we're going through it, also talks about, like, we have 969 acres that are built of commercial property. So these 10 pages are interesting, and it also talks about our TED sites, okay? And what of course, what we've been looking at to wanted to develop it. TED sites are on page 54. And there's 13 of them, okay? Some of them we've been successful, and some are just sitting there. I'll let you know what my feelings are, what transpired, okay? In May of this year, they addressed the zoning of the BT1 and BT2 zone. They had discussions on it, and in the middle of the discussions, the consultant was there, and he interrupted them because they were talking about either making it an acre and a half or 2 acres and so forth. And they didn't know, how can I word this politely? They were going in all different directions. So the consultant who was listening on kind of had to interrupt them. And he gave them his input on this. So let me see. I just had this here. Oh, then I lost it. So in the end, they landed up with discussions of having a 2-acre zone out on the turnpike. The important part that was addressed to them is that it crippled parcels out there. They wanted things combined. So if there's a 2 parcels together that were an acre, and they want to combine them, okay? 2 acres with 175-foot frontage. That's what they're proposing. We proposed to them a 1-acre zone with a 200-foot frontage. All right, so I really, I'm disappointed. I wanted you to hear directly what the consultant said. So the consultant actually interrupted them. And
You have a date on it? When was it?
yeah, I think that was
Look it up by year.
that was April. Here, okay. Here we go.
Zones we're talking about the BT1 and the BT2. they're commercial zones, so we're not, so the concerns about development of a house on a smaller lot to these zones. The current requirement, minimum acreage in both the BT one and the BT two is now 2 acres per lot. Our research and discussion with the EDC has shown us that there are many lots that are less than 2 acres. So you have many lots that are made non-conforming by the existing regulations. And for that reason, it's very difficult for property owners to improve their properties. The intention of this is to bring most of those properties into conformance to encourage reinvestment, redevelopment of those properties. That's the exact purpose. And once again, it's limited to the BT1 and BT2. The current requirement is 2 acres. We are recommending 1 acre. That is based upon the size of lots that are out there. If we were to reduce to 1.5 acres, I think even that would be an improvement. But it would still result in many lots remaining non-conforming, which really challenges a property owner to substantially improve their properties. And they would have to be fortunate enough to go to ZBA, demonstrate legitimate hardship in order to do that. So that's exactly what has been proposed.
All right, so here's our consultant that did the study of the whole, not just the turnpike, but the whole plan of development, but he studied each piece out there, okay, what could be developed, what can't, all right? They still ended up doing 2 acres, okay? So that was in April or so, or May, and then in June, they addressed the Hilltop, Golden Triangle, whatever you wanna call it, okay? I actually got up there and spoke not as a member of this commission, but as a property owner. Okay, that I've been there for years and I invested there and I wanted to see the turnpike being upgraded, okay? And take away that nasty reputation that exists out there, okay? So what lands up in being in a citizen, okay? Bob, see that? Okay?
Down there anymore.
All right, here it is, Berlin Turnpike, trafficking, all right, women trafficking. All right, this is still the reputation that's out there. All right, and here we are trying to upgrade the whole turnpike to create demand out there to have respectable businesses. And with the triangle being one of the major catalysts of the turnpike, that by developing that piece, you're going to get all other pieces that will follow. What they ended up doing was doing away with all the housing, okay, which we presented to them, senior housing with different convalescent homes, rental for senior housing, and with 3 different stages, okay, that we thought that would be great to the back corner. They eliminated all of the housing altogether. All right. They eliminated any drive-throughs that if you might have a fast food chain there, which I could not understand why. Every type of that type of restaurant would still have a drive-through. And it seems like they just kept throwing jabs at everything. 200-foot buffer to any residential property. Okay, multiply that. All right, that could be acreage. Now, if they wanted to increase it from 50 to 100, okay, maybe you're gonna have a larger development, maybe I could see that, but 200 feet? Nothing they did there was good planning, okay? And I'll be right out front and tell them I am totally disappointed with how the commission handled this. They almost did it in a vindictive manner. I'm sorry, I'm pronouncing that wrong. Vindictive manner. All right, and whoever's hearing it, I will back up my words. All right, they are not addressing this plan of development properly. And whatever I saw here was a slap in the face of this commission, because we put a lot of time into this. We interviewed the owners of properties, we talked to the consultant. Okay, we went back and forth, what would work there, what would be safe as far as where driveways would be, as far as the frontage. And yet they ignored everything we worked on and went and slapped us in the face. All right? We volunteer our time just like they do, but did not consider one word of what we worked on. And we showed that we just didn't slap things together. So as far as that commission, I don't want to bite my words here, but I'm totally disgusted with them. All right? So whoever wants to listen to this, I'm here. I'm backing my words.
And so did they make any changes?
In a positive manner? No.
Let me, I can show you guys what basically is here. So these are the ones that I got in the last couple weeks. Come on. So the SBDD, what they did was they took basically everything in this was a special permit, everything, which is, as we know, because that's what Orsini had to go through, it's a long process. So they took all of the ones that were there and they now made them site plan. The other piece was down the bottom here. These are the special permit uses they did add. As Ed said, they, during deliberations, nixed mixed use, which apartments. The one thing in here that I believe has some potential is this right here. Continuing care retirement communities. I believe what I'd like to see, and I'm going to be talking to Phil the next couple of weeks, is a, again, hypothetical, some restaurant, medical down on the road. You work your way up the hill. Let's say you have a place where a nurse comes once a week. Nurse comes every day, assisted living, memory care, hospice care, as you work your way up the hill. That, I think, is, in my mind, the only way we get residential there is if it is directly connected with a medical backbone.
And that would work there.
Oh, no, absolutely. And, but again, it is something that there is opportunities here. The big issue is twofold. One, getting our arms around, and an agent getting their arms around ownership. Because I've heard numerous times, and I've talked to 5 or 6 people over the last 10 years, the more money you have, the higher the price goes. If an agent can get a listing on this, that'll give us a baseline number to start with, I think it'll give us some ability to work on. Again, do we have a whole lot here? No. Do we have more? Yes. I think that most likely because of the total cost involved, someone's going to come in with this as a basis and want to add to it, potentially some of the stuff that was pitched, if you will, during the process. Because I think at this point, and I can be totally mistaken, but if you look at what's happened here in the town of Berlin, development has followed the bedrooms. They have. I mean, the reason we have Hop House, the reason we have a lot of the other stuff is the apartments. And again, I don't know what it looks like. Maybe it's over 55, maybe it's condos. I don't know. But, and I would agree with Eddie, to me, it hurt. Because when we couldn't talk anymore, boom, mixed use, gone.
You know how the housing got nipped? The gentleman said, I don't want to come up Route 9 and see what the same type of apartments that are being built on 691. Okay? If he went by those apartments, which I did today, once they were finished, they were quite attractive. But he didn't want to come up Route 9 and see apartment buildings there, and so they nipped and threw out all the type of housing we talked about. It's just,
Whatever happened to their personal feelings are not what you're both by. Back to like that.
Yep, I would agree.
as important as this was, it was taken up at 10:30 at night. Now, they start their meetings at 7 o'clock. This commission are all volunteers, and at 10:30 at night, they took it up as something as important as this and made decisions that actually hurt everything. Okay? 10:30 at night. Does anyone here want to work at 10:30 at night? No. But they made terrible decisions. And
Probably
to be
they
honest
just
with
wanted to
you,
get out of there.
maybe so, but here we are, we're working at this, we really dissected this, okay? Making something that's in demand, something that didn't affect any of the neighborhoods, had good access, okay? Which would be a tax generator. And none of this was considered. So actually, Mr. Chairman, if there is someone else on this commission that would like to take my spot on that plan of development, I would be very happy to move aside. Okay? Very happy. Now, I know zoning. I've been working with zoning for the last 30 years. Okay? I know the turnpike. I also know many other parts of this town to be a good contributor to what can transpire there, but I really think they got, I'm going too far. Someone else likes to take my spot, I'll move aside.
Yeah, all
Okay.
right.
So I
understand.
want to mention one thing. So the other one that I've seen so far is the BT one. Nothing on BT two yet. So a couple things. One, clean contractors added as a special permit use in the BT one, lumber yards out, religious, charitable out. Interesting. Ed, if you look at number 4 there, this is what went to the Herald. I'm
Reduce. What is it? Reduce
it says it says what we want.
to 25 feet,
No. The one beneath it.
reduce item number 9, minimum
2
lot
acres,
size.
1 acre.
That's not what they,
But that's the part that's weird because even though it says something and then the car wash is to 1.5. So, but yes, I'm waiting on the and the bigger things at this point too was also the BT2 because the BT2 is a good portion of the southern half of the turnpike where it is retail, restaurant, office. And I'm sorry, to a limited degree, that's going to work. But if you're looking at a major redevelopment, that dog ain't going to hunt. It's just not. I mean, you guys know because previous to 2 years ago, the bus never went there. And those are the type of businesses that hourly people are most likely taking the bus. Will we see some growth? Yes, I think we will. But I mean, it's an established, it is industrial. I think we can continue with the industrial and yeah, I would say disappointed is probably the best way to put it. Because there was a lot of effort put into, did we get a couple things? Yes. But the things that really are going to help, and again, I don't know what that property's worth, but I do know that it is going to cost millions and millions of dollars for the Golden Triangle to get utilities and a road from the 100 feet of the turnpike to 140 where the biggest usable piece is.
It's not on the market currently.
No, I sent the regs to, actually I need to send the regs to Greg today. Because it literally, they were waiting on these. They've been working diligently with one of the real estate firms in the area. And really, it's just, I hate to say it, it's getting a listing agreement signed, getting a sign on it with a number. Because, I mean, it's almost like and I've heard this before, well, make an offer. You're not going to bid against yourself. We need a baseline to start with. I mean, I've been talking to, and I'll just be brutally honest, I've been for the last 4 or 5 years, if not more, I've been talking to Billy Tomaso, Tabitha Manafort, who married Justin Manafort. I happened to go to elementary school with Tabitha. I've been talking to Christina Niglia, who's the next generation of the O&G family. Now, again, are they the end all be all? No, but they're families with multi-generational construction companies that know how to move earth, who know how to make things happen. Nothing promised, but I want to meet with them and see what happens. But again, meeting with them, it's kind of like when I met with them before when we didn't have any uses that fit. can have all the uses in the world. If they put a $25 million price tag on it, nothing's gonna happen. So I'm hopeful something's gonna happen, but I am sitting in the background and kind of biding my time until it does happen. I think my hope is that there's enough here, and it has been changed for the first time in 45 years, more, that we have uses that are added.
Let's keep, why don't we put this on the agenda for our next meeting?
Absolutely.
And you, are gonna, we should find out, are they gonna list it or not list it, you know?
Yeah, no, and the conversations are ongoing, and I think it's one of these things that it's just,
You know, if they're listed, that's a good thing, and, if there's some sort of proposal that can go to P and Z.
One other thing that I just found out, probably at 4 o'clock today. There was a plan of conservation development meeting on October 23rd, and I wasn't invited. Okay? Yeah, I was never notified. And then someone, I don't know if there was some confusion with people not being notified because there was only 4 people there besides Maureen. And, you know, then they talked about it after that people weren't notified.
Oh.
That had to be just a general screw up there.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
That's possible. That's possible. Thank you for hearing me out because I didn't know if I was gonna drop this or pursue it, but it was so important to address an issue of a commission as important as planning and zoning and how they came up with decisions. And out of respect for you guys, come on.
All right, so let's keep it on the, let's put that on the agenda for ongoing items, Chris, okay?
will do.
Yeah, let's keep that on the agenda. Okay,
Alrighty, so just a couple things. So Rebel Dog, ribbon cutting, Chipotle, ribbon cutting, Tri-State Materials Testing. So the special award, I don't think I explained this previously. So the Hartford Business Journal does a lot of lists. Actually, they should call themselves the Hartford Business List Company. They have so many of them. So in the last couple months, we've had a couple major things. In my mind, it's major. So they did the top commercial contractors in Greater Hartford. Olson was 13, Fortunato was 14. I took that, put it on a nice plaque, gave it to Fortunato. I'm going to give it to Olson.
sure.
Top 25, 22 minority-owned businesses. Tri-State Materials was 17. Arissa was 18. Same thing, presented to them. And I think it's kind of cool because it's not uncommon for Berlin to be on these lists, but it's common for Berlin to be on a list for Northeast Utilities, 1,600, Comcast, 500 employees, not this. 4 of these 5 companies I helped bring to town. So I have a great feeling of pride, and I want to say thank you for coming to Berlin. And it's only a plaque, but to me, I think it's huge to be able to see that kind of growth in really industries. And so Tri-State Materials Testing, what they do is they do testing on roads, sidewalks, etc., to make sure what is going down is proper. Arissa is kind of a family-owned, what I'm looking for. When you have a fire at your house, a flood, they're the one that comes in and fixes it. So yeah, women-owned, and so those are just some cool things that I'm doing. And Ameritech, which is the guys that bought the old Atlantis building, which before that was the food bag building in the corner of Main Street, waiting to do something with them. And then there are a couple as well that are kicking around. We've had a number of different companies that have come in, which is great. And we're going to keep plugging along.
All right, Chris.
Well, also, a few commissioners could look at on page 118, you know, for the next meeting too. There's a few things here that, for our commission that they highlighted. You can see that they rate them, you know, where if they're high priority, a medium or low. Okay, so that's a section that we want to look at too.
Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, Chris, item 7.
Sure, 7, Ferndale, I have heard nothing from Rich. It's,
Seems quiet.
yep.
It's quiet.
Sherwood Falls, the vacant lot, on Thursday, the Regional Brownfield Partnership, which the town of Berlin is part of, Zero Main Street's gonna be brought up for, funding for the assessment, which would
Good.
be, I believe, 80% federal monies and a 20% local grant that will, 20% local match that will be provided by the tenant, the, Condo Owners Association, which was great. Movie theater, nothing. Gateways, nothing. Town-owned properties, my plan right now is to go back, talk to Mark, go back to town council. If I was to kind of, what would I like to see? Like a three-person committee, myself, Maureen, and then potentially a town council member. I have one in mind. We would look at properties. I would look at economic value. Maureen would look at zoning. She'd also look at, is there a, is there something you can't do? Is it open space? Is it XYZ? Council member would then help us to present it to the council. The good thing is too, it's an RFQ process. The good thing is our town attorney, who works for 5 different communities, will guide us on the best way to do this. Now, we can do the open, come one, come all, versus the guided RFQ, which is the town of Berlin would like to see X. We get proposals come in on a property. We don't like any of them. We say no to all of them. But I look at this, and from my perspective, there are over 300 properties that the town owns right now. Yes, some of them are schools, they're fields. There's a half-acre parcel literally right on Kensington Road that's attached to this property that sits there that we have to mow the sidewalk, mow the lawn. Beautiful home site. Simple, and if we can
Is
sell
that
it.
the zone in the neighborhood?
Yeah, it's zoned, well, it's part of the town hall complex, so right now I think it's zoned municipal, but if you cut it off, it's got houses on both sides. And again, do I want to go for some of the more challenging properties in the long term? Yes. But I'd like to show that this can work. And in my mind, if we don't look at it, I think we're doing a disservice, because the fact of the matter is that the properties that are further out, trucks, brush hogs, everything takes a beating. And we need to look at the full picture. What is the cost of maintaining a property that we may or may not getting full use of? And again, not to say sell everything, maybe just something where we lease it, the Pistol Creek building. But if we're not at least having the conversations, and I want to start again, I want to start very simple, something everybody sees every time they drive to town hall and probably don't even know the town owns it. So we'll kind of see where it goes. I'm going to get Mark's guidance on this. Town attorney's a town, but I think it's important to at least begin. It may turn into nothing, but I think it's important to at least have the discussions. I mean, I know this commission has been very behind trying to do something with the lot in front of Sage Park before I was here. I will not stop every couple of years. I will try, and then I'll get beat up and go with my tail between my legs, but I still think it is worth a discussion, because again,
I was just glad that they took out that big piece of concrete that held up the.
Yeah.
I could have swore someone was gonna hit it.
absolutely. So the business event, we ended up having about 65 attendees, which you guys know me well. I am a cool cucumber always. I was stressed out from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock, because all I kept thinking is I'm going to hold a party and nobody's going to show up because of the monsoon. I appreciate you guys showing up, because it worked out very well. I think it was great to have the mayor do an opening. I did what I do, which is to be loud. But it was really nice too to have Bob really do a networking 101, because people don't actually talk about it.
Bob did a great
He
job.
did an awesome job, because people don't know. I mean, you either get it or you don't, but really explaining it. And it's funny, because I talked to people at the end and I'm like, you need to tell Bob that you passed the test for tonight. And there were some good connections made that night, which I think is awesome. Last thing is, I don't have it on here, but my plan is to do a contractor event, probably contractor construction event at the Truck Bar, February, I'm thinking. Some of the folks that were there that night probably will be sponsors. My hope is if I can get Vince and Lord Lindsay Fortunato, Mark Lovely, and Tony Valenti there, I'm hoping every other contractor in town is going to want to meet them. Kind of like we did with the appreciation event, Dave. So the first adult beverage and slice of pizza. Because I think there's a lot of contractors, even your Saturday, Sunday guys who work for somebody else, but they're doing their own thing. John with his new development.
It would almost be a local home show for us.
It would be.
People would come in and wanna, maybe wanna do a project in their
Mhm.
house.
Yeah, I mean,
And they
and
wanna meet different contractors.
yeah, and I think that this could turn into something more. I think right now I want to just, I think people don't know who's here because we have seen such a huge growth. I think the addition of clean contractors or industrial zones, which again, when it happened in 2017, when I was on year 2, wasn't a big deal. But I mean, you think about it, some of the biggest growth we've seen is there. Priority Electric, over on Fuller Way, Air Temp, and these are Berlin guys, men and women, who brought their businesses here. Now, I wasn't on board at the time, but when I started, I heard crap from people for 3 years over the coffee guys that didn't come. It took a while, but we kind of turned the corner. And I think that especially John's development there for contractors, it's a home run if we can get people to start thinking about it. And also, too, do we have folks that are doing work out of their own yard with big old trucks or piles of stuff, and let's get them where they belong.
Good stuff.
Item 8, any other comments? Okay, we're on
Yeah,
9.
yeah, I would say, yeah, with the business thing. Find a way we get more businesses to come to that. I know it's tough, but.
I tried everything I could. I mean, there was stuff before, there was stuff days before. Yeah, I don't know. I would like to find a way to do and get more people there. Absolutely.
I think the weather was also a deterrent.
Well, I think part of it is, I mean,
Almost.
the biggest area of the growth tends to be challenging, which again, when you're looking at contractors, construction, manufacturing, it's tough to get them engaged to come to stuff as well. And maybe what it is, and I think we did this a couple of years ago, we did a breakfast out at Shuttle Meadow for manufacturers. Maybe we do more targeted events to get certain people to come to the table, which might be a better way to do it. Again, there needs to be some meat on the bone to get them out there, which I think we can do.
Consistency too.
It is. Oh, no, absolutely. Yeah, we hadn't done one in a while.
Yeah, so I think do it plan, people will just show up
Yep.
more and more.
Just get better each year.
Absolutely.
Or we could do 2 events a year. That's fine.
Yep. Absolutely. Do have some fun and good news. So, we're going to be looking to do some promotion of the bus line. I found out from Avna, which formerly OK out on New Park, has a couple success stories. People that started taking the bus when the bus line came, bought cars and don't take the bus anymore. So, my hope is that we can use these kind of success stories. I'm going to try to personalize a bus line, if you will, because there is so many opportunities that people have no idea is there. And I look at New Britain and Meriden as huge pockets of labor that have no idea what the hell's in Berlin. So we're going to work on that. If I was to kind of look at it and go, what does it look like? I'd say it's a bus line, and then we have logos and a QR code, and all these folks, we're looking for people, help you pay for it. What will happen, but that's kind of the idea at this point. And I hate to have to be the one that's promoting a bus line, but you guys know the only way we're going to get Kevin Budney and Lori Budney and Jason Howie to grow is to get people to their doorstep. Because, and it's funny because I'm good friends with Kevin, but seeing him build 10,000 square feet every 3 years to put more raw materials bugs the hell out of me, because I want to see that 60,000 square foot building for his aerospace component manufacturing company. But I know without people, you're not going to do anything. So the good news is we're starting to do some stuff. I'm hoping we can connect with folks at higher ups at the state and maybe do, hey, we've hit 2 years, kind of like what we did when we launched it. Get out there, make a big hubbub about it, and I'll see if I can get somebody else to help me pay for it.
Okay. Anything else, folks? Anything somewhere?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Maggie, thank you, Allison.
Say aye, opposed?
Aye, good night, good night. Thank you, thank you.